Hey, how's it going, guys? Good to see you. And we are in the new Demon Works tonight. And the topic of this video is very important, and that is how to pack up, or how I pack up and wrap up a finished scratch-built RC airplane in order to be shipped to a customer, maybe even you, depending on who you are and if you buy a plane from me. This is how I pack up an airplane and get it prepared for shipping to you or to a customer, basically when the plane is done. This step is as important as the build itself, making sure the plane is built with quality, making sure that I put my best work into the plane, and make sure that it is durable yet light and all those good things in scale. And it is incredibly important that I get this phase right, and that is packing up the plane and protecting it from the perils of it being shipped. Okay, I could tell you horror stories, but the most safest way to actually have a plane transported is by me. Me personally transporting your scratch-built RC airplane is the ultimate way to make sure it's going to get to you in one piece, because I know how to transport these airliners and RC aircraft because I've been doing it for so long. Shipping companies, they just see a parcel, they see a box, they see a crate, and they have to get it from point A to point B in a specific amount of time. And you know, if something happens to it, that's the way it goes. Now you, the buyer, and me, the builder, we don't see it that way. I want it to get to you in one piece. But in this video, I'm going to show you how I basically prepare the airplane, wrap it up and protect it, and get it ready to ship to you. So let's do that right now. And what am I shipping? I'm shipping this. And what are we shipping today? We are shipping this. A Pilatus PC-12. Scratch built by me, yours truly, DemonDriver. And it's heading out to its customer, to its new owner. Sadly, a tad late, but you know, better late than never. And the old saying, beautiful things come to those who wait, and this Pilatus Porter PC-12 is definitely some of my best work to date, without a doubt. This plane is just, I'm very happy for the customer because he's getting some of my best work. Some of my best work right here. Look at that. That is, I'm not trying to brag or sound cocky or arrogant, but I like what I did here. And my friend, sorry she's a little bit late, but she's coming out. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I basically pack up one of these planes and get it ready to be shipped, because that is a very important thing. Because basically, if it doesn't get to the customer in one piece, or to the best of my ability, then I failed. You know, of course I can't take responsibility for, you know, the actual physical shipping of it unless I'm transporting it myself. This person lives several states away, so it's probably not feasible, and he doesn't want to pay to have me pack it up in my truck and drive it. He could have, but you know, the cost of that would have been just prohibitive. But let's go ahead and let's get cracking. But before we do that, one thing that I offer to all my customers: when you buy a plane from me, or a spaceship, or a fighter jet airliner, you get free model shoot with one of my RC models, one of my Demon girls, to model your plane, and that's free of charge. That's along with the price. So let me go ahead and let's show you some of those photos now. All right, well, let's stop salivating over this PC-12 and let's pack this thing up and get it in that box. And I'm going to show you how I do it, because this is an important step. If you want to be a scratch builder like me and do this for a living, you need to learn how to do this, to take this step, and to safeguard your creation, especially for your customer. Okay, step one to shipping your airplane. Before you really do anything, before you even start wrapping the plane up, make sure that you retract your landing gear if the plane has retracts. Okay? Retract your wing gear, retract your main fuselage gear, because that way it just makes it a much, it eliminates the possibility of getting the gears snagged and torn off. So just retract them back up into the wing, retract them back up into the fuse, if they have retracts. This one has serverless retracts, so retract your gear and then you can begin. Okay guys, let's look at the materials that we can use for wrapping and cushioning. Now of course we have the various bubble wrap, cushion wrap, bubble wrap, got more of it with bigger bubbles, This stuff is good, it's lightweight and good. And then we have foam wrap. We have kind of a foam sheet. This is kind of a foam wrap. This is very similar. It's a foam sheet, and we're going to use something similar to wrap the plane. I first wrapped the plane itself, the wings, the fuse, with material like this to give it a nice absorbent shell, and then I go from there. And it's a multi-step process, but it's important to do them all. Another great product, which is really not for packing or shipping, but it's wonderful. This is an underflooring foam that's used when you, I personally put in a laminate wood floor in our den, in our entertainment room, and I use this underneath the laminate wood. And it's kind of a foam sheet, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with this stuff. It's a little expensive, it's 20 or 30 bucks a roll, but you get a lot of it. And this stuff is great. It's durable, it's light, and it's you wrap it up in 2 or 3 layers, and man, this is going to give some good protection to your plane. And then of course we have the old standby popcorn. Foam popcorn for padding and for filling up voids and spaces in the box. You don't want that. You want to fill them all up with popcorn or this or something. Don't give the box area to squish in on. Okay? You don't want the box to have area to smash down on, because that's bad. Now let me show you, of course, another big part of this whole thing, and that, of course, is the box. Let's look at the box itself. Now, it's very important that you make sure that your box is about 10 to 20% larger than your wingspan and or fuselage in every dimension, in every axis, whether it's the length of the fuselage. Now normally your wingspan is going to be your longest part of the plane, unless you're building like a DC-8 Super 62 or a Super 63 or something like that, where the fuselage is super long but your wingspan is short. But in this case, you want to make sure that the box right here, the box itself is 10 to 20% bigger than every dimension of the plane. Reason being, that gives you crush room, meaning the plane isn't up against every wall of the box, so that if something happens and somebody, it gets kicked or punched or whatever, it's not going to necessarily crush the plane. You see what I'm saying? It gives you wiggle room. It gives you what I call squash room. Now this box in particular is pretty heavy, pretty beefy. I actually had it made by a shipping company that I deal with here in South Carolina, and it's so big I can't even get it all in frame. It's massive. It's I think something like at least 68 inches, maybe 70 inches long by, God, I don't know, 30 some odd. It's huge. So this is a big step. Big part is the box. Make sure that you have a sturdy box. Make sure that because there are very few boxes that are made off the bat that are 6-7 feet long and or larger. Okay, I've got big, you know, almost 12-foot 747s on the way, and those things are massive, and in order to ship them, I'm going to have to really do some creative thinking as to how to get those boxed up and shipped. Okay, we got the hat cam on. Now, first step is lay down some kind of matting, all right? So you can start the process. Put the plane down on the matting, and then that way you're not going to harm the airplane. Now I'm putting the servo wires here, aileron flaps, retracts. Get them into a nice comfortable area and get a little tape on them. Put Scotch tape, because it's not going to stick so hard that when the customer gets it and pulls it up, he's going to wind up taking paint off with the plane. We don't want that. Or, you know, having too much of a hassle, you know, taking all that out. We don't want that. So, want everything nice and easy. So, there we go. We got that ready. Laying on the bed, PC-12 wing. Let's get rocking. Now, first thing, obviously, is, let me get this freaking tripod out of the way. Let's get our scissor ready. Got a good titanium scissor right here. And what we really want to do is we want to start, I'm going to use this product right here as the underbase to just wrap everything up, because this is just a great product. I love it. It's good stuff. And I'm going to start it in a couple of areas and do a couple of layers, one length and then another, and then just kind of wrap it. Watch what I do. You'll see what I mean. Alright, so I lay this out like so. Lay the wing. Give yourself give yourself some space. That way you're not flush up against it. You got a little wiggle room. And what we're going to do is just doing everything gently, because right now, man, this is where you can really screw up too. You don't want to damage the plane while you're trying to, you don't want to be the guy to hurt the plane. So we fold it over once. I get some tape, and I go ahead and try not to get the tape on the plane. Try and go from foam to foam and keep everything sealed up. So go ahead and do this again. Go ahead, and there we are. And this is basically helping keeping everything in place where you want it to be, and that's important. The other thing about this foam, be careful of, it's got a sticky layer of, it's got a sticky adhesive on the outside, so because it's flooring, make sure you don't get that on the plane, because you might cause a problem, so be careful. So we take the foam and we wrap it around. We go ahead and wrap it around like so, and we take the roll and we just wrap it just like that, and it's easy. I mean, that's the other beautiful thing. It's really easy. So now we got a good layer here. Look at that. We're getting a good layer. All right, that's about enough for the wing, for this side of the wing. We'll go ahead and take our scissor, and we'll just gently. Don't use a razor, because a razor, if you make a mistake, you're going to make the mistake in a way that's just going to cause a lot of trouble. The scissor is slower. It makes you think. It makes you methodical. Some tools, they kind of cause you to be careful, as opposed to some tools that don't. So we go ahead and tape that over. There we go. Look at that. Let's go ahead and tape that over there. There we are. Beautiful. Look at that. And you're going to get some excess. That's fine. And the way we're going to deal with it, we're going to treat it like a sandwich. We're going to kind of come in like that and sort of wrap it up. And what we'll do for that is we'll use this Gorilla Tape for that aspect. So let's go ahead and let me stick this to one side of my head. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. There you go, because I got the winglet there. I got that winglet, so I want to keep that winglet nice and safe. So I wrap this up a little bit. Look at that. That's a nice... Take this and just wrap it gently. Take the tape. There we go. Wrap that sucker. There we are. There we are. Look at that. You're going to get a little excess. That's fine. We take the tape and we just fill in that excess. Very important. I know some of you think this is boring, but you know what? Look, if you're getting into scratch building and you try and maybe make a buck out of it or two, you want to really, when the plane has to go out to a customer, make sure that you basically take your time and you take the necessary steps to make sure that it's going to be safe while it's shipped. Or you're just wasting your time and you're wasting your customer's money. So please think this step over carefully, very carefully. I implore you. Okay, being careful, we go ahead and roll that to the other side. Now we're going to get rid of that. We're going to do this side. We're going to do the right side of the PC-12 wing, the radar side of the weather radar. So let's go ahead and let's roll out our foam mat once more. Now let's give ourselves a good little area of room. There we are. One of the things that, sometimes you just can't control everything when it comes down to shipping. I had a customer, really good guy, trucker, out in California, buy a plane from me, a A300 American Airlines. I'm sure you guys know about it. It's in the build, that very beautiful A300 American Airlines that I built, and got it, finished, and made a beautiful handmade stand for it and everything, and went to ship it out. And unfortunately, I built a huge plywood crate, big pressure. It was like pressure treated wood. A crate that was like built like an outhouse. This thing was amazing. And sadly, I'm not going to name the shipping company because I don't want to. In this video, I'm not naming any shipping companies because I'm not going there. I don't care. But the fact is, when it got to him out in California, the workers at this particular dispatch center just were not on the ball, and they dropped the plane in the crate, and it did some irreparable damage to the plane. He had a local scratch builder out there in California try and do what he could to try and patch it up, but the damage was already done. So the guy fixed it the best he could. I offered to do repairs, but sadly the guy was just so upset that he just said, "Ah, the hell with it. I'm not, this has just pissed me off so much." And I definitely feel for him. I definitely understood where he was at, and I felt terrible. But it was out of my control, Once these planes once I pack them up the best I can, and they leave my caring hands, I can't, unless you gotta get shipping insurance, because I'm gonna do the best I can here right now to pack the plane up and make sure it's safe, but there's only so much I can do. Unfortunately, I was unable to safeguard that plane, but I also deliver myself. I have a extended Chevy Express van, big van, so I'm able to put my largest airliners today. I can probably put my future 12-foot 7.4s in there, 7.4 100s and 200s in there without even breaking a sweat. And anything under that size. And I'll deliver it as long as you pay for the gas and, and an hourly fee, an hourly rate. It's not that bad. But the good thing is, you can rest assured that plane is not going to get damaged unless I go off a cliff or something like that and crash. That plane is going to arrive without a scratch. That's for damn sure. So there's the winglet right there. So let's go ahead and let's wrap that up. Give us a nice little... See, by doing that, you're creating a bumper. You're making a little... You're making a cocoon. Now look at this. This wing, right now, is basically in its own little cocoon, safe. I could drop this. I don't want to do that, but I could technically drop this right now, and the amount of foam protection is going to really just safeguard it and keep it nice and safe. All right, so let's do a little bit more. Let's do a little bit more. There we go. And make it always, here's a trick. Fold a lip over on the tape so that you can grab it and remove it. And there we go. Now, that is done. That is ready to go. And yes, I'm very happy with this. So let's put this over here for now. Let's just set this down in a safe spot. There we go. Okay, now for the fuselage. Now for the fuse. Very important, very big step. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and get some more of this material. This stuff is great. This is really good stuff right here. Another good product is this stuff. It's a little thinner, but it's lighter, and that's good. Okay. Two things we're going to look at when you are shipping not only your wing but your fuse. Make sure that your control surfaces are relatively straight. Now, I'm going to make sure that the rudder is crooked over to the right a tad. So let's get that back. Let's get that back straight. There we go. Perfect. That way it's where it needs to be. I like to first, let's do a wrap job on the prop area first. Let's use this product right here. It's a thinner strip, so it's a little bit more manageable. Oh, I got a trash can right here. See, as I'm getting used to my workshop, and the configuration you see it in, I can move everything around. That's important when you have a workshop. All right, let's wrap the prop first. I like starting from the beginning. When you're wrapping up a plane, I like to start from the start. The head of the beast. Let's wrap out a little bit there. We're going to wrap up the prop, four-bladed prop, scale spinner, turboprop, exhaust pipes made from bent aluminum. Magnifique, I love it. Some of my best work, if I don't mind saying. And let's wrap that up, because we don't want that to get hurt. Now, you can leave the props on there. It's not going to do anything as long as you create a nice area where the prop can rest and not be compressed on anything that's going to bend the blades, because if the customer gets it and he or she has to take the prop off, that's just a pain in the ass. So we get a good layer down right there. Let's do that. Let's get a little bit more. Matter of fact, let's get some bubble wrap over that. Let's put some bubble wrap over that. I really want to make sure this prop is protected. Let's get some bubble wrap over that prop. Let's get some bubble wrap over that prop. Actually, let me try something here. Let's double this up. Let's fold it, and then, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Because let me tell you something. I've done this, God, from the time I started my business 8 years ago, doing this for a living as a business, but over the years, I think in the 90s was the first time I took a job for money, and it was I built a kit for a guy. He didn't have the time to build the kit, and I built it for him, and when it was done I had to ship it to him. And so that was the first time I ever really shipped a plane to somebody, and I had to kind of learn learn then and there how to do it. And ever since then, I've been learning how the do's and don'ts. And if you have any questions, go to a shipping company, go to a shipper and talk to them and say, hey, I got this and I'm trying to ship it. Could you please give me an idea as to the best way to do that? And they'll give you suggestions. They'll give you ideas. They will give you ideas. Yes, indeed. They'll give you ideas. But of course, if they are not builders, they're not gonna really know your predicament. But they'll understand fragile things. And sometimes shipping companies can do that for you too. You just tell them, hey, I need this shipped. This is what it's made from. This is how fragile it is. Could you please give me an idea as to how the best way to do this? And they will do their damnedest to do that because they want your business. They don't want to mess things up for you. So this prop is pretty much wrapped up. I'm pretty happy with that. And I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, this fuselage is nice and safe on the stool. It's not going anywhere. It's balanced, perfect. It's not going anywhere unless I do something incredibly stupid and drop it, which I'm not going to do. So let's go ahead and, you know what, I like this product. I like this stuff. This is good stuff. For this application, I'm going to use this on the fuse. So let's go ahead and put a little here. Again, like I told you, you want to really be careful, and you don't want to hurt the plane at all while you're doing this. You want to really just be careful. You wrap up the plane, take the roll, and just spin it around the fuse like so. And there we are. There we are. Always being careful. Always being methodical. Just pay attention to what it is you're doing. Don't rush. That's the other thing I tell people is just don't rush. There's no need to rush. At this stage in the game, man, just don't. It's not worth it. So just keep wrapping. Keep wrapping it around. Put it in your hand. That way you see what's going on. Very gentle. Wrap it, wrap it, wrap it. So this is the stage, man. This is where you gotta really pay attention to what you're doing, because you can just ruin everything right now if you're not careful. Drop the plane, don't wrap it properly, and something happens. It's your diligence that is going to really see this plane get to its customer in one piece, because you were diligent and you paid attention to the detail. Now there's an antenna in there above on the top of the fuselage. I think a UHF antenna, so I got to be careful of that. I don't want to hurt that. Don't want to bend it, so we're going to give it a little bit of room in there. So I'm holding the plane up. I'm holding the plane with one hand, and I'm just going ahead and wrapping this round, very gentle. And I'm doing at least 2 to 3 good wraps in each section, so that I build up as close to or as near as a cocoon as I can. It's very important that you do this. Now we're entering an area also that is very, very touchy, and that is called the tail section, especially if it's a T-tail like this. I'm going to show you a trick that I have learned over the years when you ship a T-tail. Very important trick, but man, you got to do it. You got to do it. I'm going to show you what that is in a second. Alright, let's keep wrapping here. Let's keep it moving. Alright, now that we have the plane wrapped, we can put it back down on there. Let's see where the antenna is. There's the antenna. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's wrap the T-tail. Wrap the T-tail the same way you wrap the rest of the plane in the wing. Nothing that crucial. Evidently those are 747 plans right there, so. There's a guy, I forgot his name, and I don't mean to be rude. but he is my biggest 747 fan, and he's always asking me in the comment section here on YouTube, hey, what's going on with the 747, Chris? Come on. And I'm so honored by the guy. I think he is, it's like at this point, I don't want to let him down. So I'm constantly, you know, I want to keep him abreast of the 747 build. So there's going to be some nice videos on that coming up real soon. So I want him to be happy because he's been sticking with it, man, with my 7.4. So he's got more enthusiasm for that than I do. So, but all right, so we wrap this up. There we go. Get some tape on there. Wrap it up nice and good. Now the T-tail is crucial. I can't stress that any more than that. The T-tail is vital. Now, let's not get careless. Now that it's wrapped, it's a little bit more unstable because it's not. So you got to be careful of that. So be very careful of that. So let's get some more tape on the wrapping material. Now I'm going to show you something that is just a must. Now of course you got to bend the foam over on the T-tail like we did with the wingtips. Alright. Alright. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's bend it over. Beautiful. And there we go. Now what I'm about to do next is crucial for T-tail shipping. T-tail shipping. Alright, let's bend that over. Boom. There we go. Okay, now watch. This is big, what I'm about to show you. Big help for shipping planes. And I hope this helps my fellow scratch builders. I hope this helps you in your endeavors to build. I really do. I hope it helps. Hope you get some good ideas here. Okay, now we got the T-tail pretty much taped up good. Now, something we have to do to ensure that the T-tail doesn't do that, get bent, banged, whatever. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to do what I call blocking the tail. Blocking the tail. Alright, get a foam block. Step 1, get a foam block. Step 2, get a knife. And I don't know where the hell a knife is. I think there's a knife in here. This is the razor box. No, that's the ESC box. Is it? That's the razor box. God almighty. This is what happens when you change workshops. You're doing an Alzheimer's impersonation for about the first couple of months as you learn where everything is. Now we got to put a blade on this. Fun, exciting action. I'm sure you guys are riveted. Alright, let's go ahead and put a razor on this sucker. Because we are going to cut this box. I know a lot of you guys, this is boring to you, but let me tell you something. The shipping of the plane to your customer, that's as important as the guy putting the thing on the runway and sending it down the runway. What's the point if you don't do that? So, also I want my customers to know that the amount of care I put into getting the plane to you in one piece. Okay, so we got our blocks, right? Watch. Take the blocks. Take the blocks and we stick them either side of the T-tail. Okay? Like that. Just like that. And that's called blocking the T-tail. That's what I call blocking the tail because I made that up. Blocking your T-tail as you ship it. Because you do not want your T-tail to collapse in on itself. And let me tell you something, guys, that will happen if you don't safeguard it. Because it can be sitting in there, and let me tell you something, baby. If it gets rocked or shaken or anything, that whole T-tail can collapse in on itself if there's enough pressure put on it. And you can have all the carbon fiber you want in the world on that sucker, but if it isn't blocked off properly, like I'm doing right now, guess what? It's coming off the bird. It's going to snap like a twig. And that's not good for your customer, because then that is basically, hey, I'm not going to buy anything from that DemonDriver guy because he doesn't pack his planes up properly. I don't want that. I don't want that distinction to be made. All right, let's keep this moving, Chris. Let's keep it moving. All right, there we go. We just pack that there, put that on that. So that's pretty damn safe now, because that gives a good, level of protection there, because remember, that's a T-tail. It can take very little to get that to get damaged. So let's wrap her back upright. Let's put her on the bigger table. Always being wary of what you're doing. It's like Yoda in Star Wars,
Always with adventure. Never wondering where he was or what he was doing.
I'm sure that's not exact. I'm paraphrasing him, but whatever. Alright, let's move this back over here. Okay, there we go. Let's put this under here to safeguard this. There's an antenna under here too, and I want to make sure I'm not there. It is. Alright, let's put it on its side. There we go. Alright. That's relatively wrapped up pretty damn good. Now, I'm going to take a step here, a precautionary step that maybe some of you may not think is necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. What I have right here are 55-gallon contractor bag, trash bags, big. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up everything, the wing and the fuse, with this bag, and the reason being is it's going to give me an watertight cocoon to put the plane in. Very important, because let me tell you something, man. Again, your customer is spending a lot of money for the plane that they just bought. And if you are dumb enough not to safeguard it, then, whatever happens is on you. So this way, I'm going to know that the plane is completely watertight. So let's get this. There we go. All right, here we go. Big 55-gallon bag will pretty much, we take the wing and we put it in the bag. Look at that. Now, there we go. Like that. That's almost there. Almost there on that. Let's go ahead and let's get another bag and bag it up. Bag this sucker up. There we go. Crucial. This is big. This is big, because let me tell you something. You can have the plane cushioned and protected all you want from shock, but if something happened and the plane was submerged in water, or something happened, the box was left out in the elements in a shipping yard or something like that, which happens. So it happens. So you got to really, well, of course you got to get past this phase of opening the damn garbage bag. So let's open that sucker up. All right. This is crucial, because by doing this, you're creating a cocoon that I know is going to make sure that this airplane is really, really secure, because now it's waterproof. That's big. It's waterproof. And put some tape right there. Do the same to the fuse. Because now, if, God forbid, I'm not saying it would happen. If the plane were left out in a shipping yard, the truck had a breakdown and they had to transfer cargo from one truck to another in the rain or something, you know that your plane is going to be pretty much waterproof. Now, let's look at our box here for a second. Now this is the upper covering of the box, and I don't like this, so I'm not gonna use that, but this is the bottom here. Okay, that's the bottom. So before I wrap this up, I'm going to create an underlayer. Okay, and a great thing for that is this, the big bubble wrap. Big bubble wrap is great for your underlayer. And what you do is you lay the bubble wrap down like so, and that becomes your bottom layer. That becomes your bottom layer. Very important. Very important, my friends. All right. This is your bottom layer that everything is going to sit on. So you got to really make sure that you've got something cushioned down there, because the plane is going to sit on that. And if it isn't done right, you've just wasted a lot of time and money. So let's go ahead and do that. What you're going to do is you're going to cut out strips. There's a spider in there. Come on, little guy, get out of there. Get the hell out of there. I'm not packing you, boy. Get your ass out of there. All right. Let's go ahead and get some sections of this out. We're just going to make a whole bunch of sections. And this is going to, it's like making a sandwich. It's the easiest way I can describe what I'm doing. It's like you're making a sandwich. You're layering out this stuff along the bottom, and that is going to create the base to what you're going to put the plane down on. Because you don't want to put the plane down just on cardboard. No way. Do not do that. You hear what I just told you? Don't do it. Lay it down on this stuff. Because that way, if something goes wrong, it's not flush up against cardboard. It's flush up against a cushioned material. That's going to protect it. There you go. And you want to make sure that it doesn't double up on itself. Let's keep laying it. Go. Try and get as much as you can coverage of the of everything. Now, another important thing I'm going to show you is we got to make sure that we're doing all that, but we got to make sure that it all stays put. We take some tape and we tape it down. We tape it down. Tape it down the best you can. Be methodical, but don't go bonkers. But tape it down so that you know it's not going anywhere. Because let me tell you something, you can really mess up everything if this isn't taped down. Because if it slides around, you are what you don't want it doing. There we go. This box is huge. I could ship myself in this damn thing. Serious. Now, you got to also make sure that you don't put yourself in the poorhouse with all the shipping materials. Make sure that you try and just use enough, but don't use too much. Don't go nuts, because you'll cost your customer a lot of money. So be careful of that. All right. So we got that there. Good. Now, next step is you want to take excess material that you have from other packages, because let me tell you something, man. You can accumulate a lot of junk packaging material, and use it, keep it, use it. So I do. I keep it. And just put it all over the place, because it's extra cushioning. It can't hurt. I got a whole bag of it right here. Look at that. There we go. Put some of that up there. Got some there. Okay. All right. All right. How do we want to attack this? We want to lay the wing in, and we want to lay the fuse down in, and we want to make sure that it's all done in a nice clean way so that nothing is banging into each other, but at the same time we have room between everything, because that's important. All right, I got a 2-car garage here, but I'm still butting up against walls. You imagine what's going to happen when I have two 12-foot 747s sitting in here? God almighty. I don't know what I'm going to do then. So the first thing I'm going to lay in is the fuselage, and then I'll lay the wing in accordingly. And then there's another big step, which is pretty important, and it's a good tip to make sure that your plane does not get crushed, or the box doesn't get crushed. So let's go ahead and let's put the fuse down into the box. Let's try and position it into the middle of the box the best we can, so that way the T-tail is safe from being crushed. Good. All right, that's where I want it. Now the wing. Now I gotta find out where there's the radome. So I don't want the radome pointed down, I want it pointed up. So let's go ahead and place the wing in very, very smoothly. I'm going to place the wing in very, very smooth. There's the radome facing up. Alright, fit the wing under there. Good. Okay. Nice. Good. Good, 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 good. Okay. Let's start to put more of this stuff, excess, as cushioning. I'm just going to plant this stuff down in certain areas, because what we want is we want to get cushioning right in there, behind there and in there. Right in there. A little bit in between the plane and the wing. We can put this bag right there, and that's a nice little buffer. All right, let's lay in the popcorn. Let's get popcorn in there. Let's start laying in our popcorn. You want to fill up the voids All the voids have to be filled. No voids can be left when you're done this process. There we go. What's the point if you do this and the plane gets to the customer and it's not because it's utterly pointless. You do all this work and then the plane gets to the customer and it's in pieces. Let's get this. There we go. Try and fill every void you can. Alright, so I've got enough, I've got as much popcorn as I possibly had. I had tons of it and it still didn't fill everything up. So I'm going to make up the space that it didn't fill with this bubble wrap sheet. And by doing this, I'm ensuring that any extra room and excess is going to be covered. Because like I said, you gotta fill up the crush space as much as you can, because that is what is potentially going to kill the plane. That's the box getting crushed. And there's not many things that you can do to prevent that other than what I'm doing right now. Because I'm going to make sure that this plane has almost no chance of being destroyed on its transit to its new owner. There we go. Ah, yeah. Well, I would be stunned if this plane was sufficiently damaged in shipping. Because I'm going to tell you, this thing is wrapped up pretty damn good. Alright, so the first, well, one of the last things is to get, this is not the top, this is just closing a little excess of the cardboard, but this is not going to be the end top of everything. This is just, you know, these are just the actual top of the box will be a portion of that. It's going to be that and another one of those pieces of another old box. So let's go ahead and get these portions closed up now. Alright. Now the real top. Let's get this 7.6 out of here, out of the way. Don't want it to get hurt. That wouldn't be good. Alright. So this is going to fit over the top of this, and this is going to be kind of the, oh yeah, that fits on there perfectly. Yep. Then we're going to, there we go. Open this section up here, like that. there we go. That's that portion. Probably good. That is good. All right, let me hard tape that down. Let me get that tape down. Right there, that's a problem. Gotta get that. Can't have this sticking out like that jaggy. That's just something, that's gonna get stuck. That's just gonna get caught on something, I know that for a fact. Guys, I could tell you horror stories that would make your shipping horror stories from hell. Real shipping horror stories from hell. Ugh. All right. There we go. This is real, pretty heavy-duty cardboard right here, my friends. So I'm getting the outer cocoon here. This is the main, this is the stress bearing part of the box. And you know, while you're doing this, toss the box around a little bit to test out the strength of the box and the rigidity of everything to make sure that it's going to hold. Because if you're going to find flaws, you want to find them now and not later. Okay, well, I got it all boxed up. I got the top down, and I'm going to add some more tape. I'm going to go around it once or twice more, put some more clear packing tape on it. But I'm looking at the box, checking to make sure that it's pretty sturdy. You know, just checking it out. Because the plane is light, the box is, you know. But when you have all the cardboard and you have everything added up and all the packing foam and everything, you can get up to some good weight. You can get up 10, 15 pounds before you know it. So PC-12 all packed up. So my friend, this thing's coming out to you. That's you probably, well, depending on when I made this video and when I'm processing it, when I'm putting it on the YouTube, you probably already have it by now. So now you saw how I packed it up. But so she's all packed up in the box, pretty secure. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm gonna again go around it with some more packing tape and just get all the edges, all the jaggies and edges and jagged edges, make sure they're all taped smooth. But that is how you pack up an RC airplane for shipping. That's how you pack it up. That's how you do it. All right, Demon Driver, thank you for watching. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.